intro, let's go with another flow. Ain't your average entertainment show. More than entertainment than what's on the screen. Connecting dots on what you see. Have you ever wondered how it all began? The idea, how they started the plan. XX actors, the whole team. Mad props to those behind the scene. Why did the person get into the biz? Something inside when they were a kid. Who helped them out when they wanted to quit? What about the fam that gave them rocks to kick? How all the haters, they left shaming alone. Find out in the entertainment zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. It's a real thing.
Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Zone. What's going on? So happy to have you on the show today. We hope you and your family are doing well during these challenging times. And we appreciate you carving out just a brief moment of your life to spend with us as we bring to you some amazing guests and talking about their careers here on the Entertainment Zone. On today's show, we just have one guest, one very impactful guest. Are you a big fan of court shows? I know I can watch court shows for hours. I really just enjoy just how the judges kind of just like do their things, and the way you get to hear cases of things that you may not even be aware of that people can get sued for. You know, what's the interesting thing about it is sometimes you recognize people that you know on those shows. I had that happen before. Yeah. One of my friends tried to wear a mustache, but we knew exactly who he was. All right, so who am I talking about? I'm talking about Boss Ross himself, Judge Kevin Ross. So without any further delay, let's bring on Boss Ross. Kevin Ross, what's going on, Judge Ross? Great to have you on the show.
All rise. Thank you for having me, Paul. It's a pleasure. We seem to keep crossing paths. This is our second interaction.
Yes, second time is a charm, Judge Ross, and I'm so glad we were able to make this happen again. Thank you so much for carving out some time out of your busy schedule. Really, really appreciate it. But I wanted to start by asking that $1 million question, and that is, Judge Ross, what made you want to go to law school and pursue that career?
You know, it's interesting, Paul. I started off getting really involved in student government in high school. I grew up in the Los Angeles area and wasn't really involved that much in junior high school. And as I got into high school, it started in 10th grade. And I pretty much went my whole 10th grade year without being particularly active. And I said, this is not the experience that I want. And I knew a lot of people, and I thought I had some good ideas. So I said, I'm going to run for office. And so I ran for junior class vice president. I was fortunate enough to win. The people said, okay, let's give him a shot. And then we changed officers every semester. So then the second semester, people thought I did a good enough job that I ran for president. And once I became president of my junior class in high school, and we are celebrating 40 years this in 2021. So that's exciting. And I'm looking forward to probably seeing folks not in person, but seeing them via Zoom. But that sort of took me on this trajectory of really just becoming immersed in government, politics, civics, things of that nature. And I sort of found my way to it. I thought I was either going to be a barber, because I used to be able to cut hair, or I was going to be a psychologist. But once I said, I think I like this political stuff. By the time I finished high school, I was student body president. I was so involved in various organizations, went on to Morehouse College in Atlanta. By the time I left Morehouse, I was student body president. And what I realized was that I think I like the idea of being a politician. And so in order to understand and implement law, you needed to really be a student of the law. And that's what was the motivation for me to go on to law school. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start off being an entertainment lawyer because I'm based here in Los Angeles and entertainment's a huge industry here. And then I'll segue over to city council, mayor, Senate, governor, And I ended up landing here instead, and I don't take it for granted, and I'm very pleased with how things turned out.
I love it. Judge Ross, I am so glad that we're having an opportunity to have this conversation again, because I remember last time you mentioned you having some barber skills, and now we have more time to dig in deeper. How was your barber game? Were you able to do like the East Coast hairstyle, the fades, or like when we was growing up, the Covadises? Please share with us what your barber skills and what kind of game you had with them clippers.
I'll put it to you like this.
All right.
This is just between you and me. You know, this doesn't go anywhere other than this conversation. So I end up getting the show done. It gets picked up, right? And one of the things that I learned from someone who at the time was really involved with live with Regis and Kelly. And the gentleman said, the number one rule in television is listen to your audience. Mm. They will tell you what they like. So we start doing the show. People start tuning in and checking it out. And here are some of the comments. Love the show. What's up with the kid and play fade? Judge Ross, fire the stylist. Judge Ross, when it comes to that hair, Jesus, take the wheel. I mean, people were brutal. And I'm sitting here thinking it's going on because I'm cutting it, I'm styling it. And, you know, everyone's like,
I've been there before.
It was too high at the top and too slim on the sides, and people just weren't feeling it. And I said, okay, that thought of listen to your audience, because they weren't saying we hate him. Well, some people were. But a lot of the feedback was about my hair, and it was clearly a consensus.
Yeah, people could be brutal.
So I said, let me get me a professional barber, because on television, everything is magnified. I mean, if I had dirt in my fingernails, people would say, what's up with the dirty fingernails? Why aren't you moisturizing? You may want to do something about those bags. I mean, you know, people will go all in, even as they're watching and supporting and being entertained by the show, but they are checking you out from head to toe. Now, that being said, so the look that I'm rocking right now is my COVID look of just, I'm letting it grow and patting it down. Because, you know, pretty soon we can really start taping, and I know I'm gonna have to get it clean, get it lined, because people like the lines coming down across. So,
Judge Ross, I totally understand how you feel. Audiences can be very, very brutal. We think we sharp, and they be like, why you got that on? Why his hair look like that? And I totally get the hair thing. You should see my hair now. If I take this hat off, very, very, very scary. Judge Ross, when you began your career in the legal world, did you use any of your experiences or life lessons growing up that really helped you to thrive or even shape your career?
Once I decided to go on to law school, the thought was, again, I was going to practice entertainment law and focus on politics. After my first year of law school's 3 years. And after the first year, I was looking for a job and doing some sort of legal work. And fortunately, I interviewed as an intern for a U.S. District Court judge here in Los Angeles. And the position, unbeknownst to me at the time, was very coveted. And fortunately, I really did well in the interview. I was liked. The judge was African-American. In fact, his name was David W. Williams, the first African-American judge appointed to the district court west of the Mississippi. And his background was one where he went to USC way, way back in the day. He was a very fair-skinned African-American, so people didn't even know what he was in terms of black, white, or what have you. But he was very, very conscientious of the importance of blacks in society, being in the court system, being police officers, being in law enforcement, sheriffs, and so forth, as well as attorneys and defense attorneys and clerks and so forth. So working with him that summer, I mean, the gentleman was old and he was very precise and detailed about everything he did. And I just pretty much would take his cases and put them on the bench and make sure he had water and, whatever errands needed to be ran. And then I also wrote different briefs. And just watching him and seeing the power of being in a courtroom and how important it was, it made me shift my focus and go, I think I would be interested in actually being a trial attorney. And so the second summer, as I went into my last year of law school, I clerked for the district attorney's office. And interestingly enough, they sent me to Compton, California. And what I found was many of the litigants were people of color, and I shouldn't say litigants, many of the defendants and people appearing before the bench were African-American, Latinos, et cetera, but not necessarily all the prosecutors and several judges, because it was Compton and they wanted to make sure there was diversity there. But still, it was a situation. I saw a prosecutor who was white, and he was really dismissive towards a woman who was the victim of domestic violence in the situation where her pimp had beat her. She was a prostitute. In fact, she was something referred to as a strawberry, where strawberries are women who prostitute themselves in exchange for drugs and or money. And the defendant had beat her up, and she came to court high, and she was out of sorts. And rather than this prosecutor having compassion and empathy and seeing that she was the true victim in this case, he found her very exasperating. And after a while, he was like, look, I just need you to shut up and go over there and sit in the corner, and I will get with you and get to you when I'm ready. And so I'm a clerk in law school observing this scenario. And I said, if this woman were in Beverly Hills and she were not Black, but still had drug issues, self-esteem issues, and was a victim of domestic violence, would he be talking to her like that? And that's when I decided, you know what? I need to be on this side of the ledger. I need to be someone that speaks on behalf of victims and speak to them in a way that they are respected, that they are valued. My father was a construction worker. My mom was a secretary. Neither of them went to college. My grandparents were janitors. So I grew up amongst working class people that oftentimes we judge people visually in terms of their race, but we also judge people and give them what we feel they're based on their economic status. And so given that I was someone that was passionate about government and politics anyway, I felt as though I was there to be a voice for people who didn't necessarily have a voice, or people who just wanted justice in a way that made sense. Now, you got to keep in mind, this was over 30 years ago. So all the conversations that we're having now about Black Lives Matter and is it justice or just us, these issues have been around for decades. And yet we're still grappling with how do we get equity, whether it's in criminal cases or civil cases or, police stops or, suing for your rights when you've been wrongly terminated. It all stems from this idea that oftentimes the justice system does not afford the same treatment based on perceptions of who is valued and who isn't. That's sort of where I have gotten my sense of how I play a role in making the system just a little bit more fair.
Oh, Judge Ross, I really appreciate the time that you took to open up about that experience. Please don't get mad. You can watch the entire episodes on our Roku channel, on our Fire TV channel. And if you just want to listen to it, you can listen to it on all these great channels right here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit notification. And if you like our custom merch, we'd love to have you aboard. Take care. Love you all to life.